Well, I'm sure you guys all figured it out. This is another episode of Marvel Card Cribs. I hope you guys like my crib. It's, it's still a little bit under construction. It's on the side of a highway. It's made from, I don't think it's engineered wood, and I don't really know where I'm going to keep my Marvel cards. But on this episode of Cribs, we're just hoping that it doesn't fall down and kill me while I'm sitting inside of it here at the beach. Let's give it a shot. Let me take you in. This is the front door, which happens to be the only door, and there actually isn't a door. It's just an opening. And there's no Marvel cards. There's no Marvel cards at my new crib. I'm not even on title for this property. I actually just showed up and found this, and I just decided I live here. So thank you for tuning into this episode of Marvel Cribs. It's been a blast, and we'll see you next time. What's going on, everybody? Me and Doom Card coming at you today on the LPM podcast. Got a really cool topic to talk about. We're going to talk about Grail cards. I'm sure all you guys who are collecting, whether you're sets, characters, whatever you're collecting, there's a card on your list that's a Grail card. There might be one of them, there might be 5 of them, there might be a few of them. Let us know. But we're going to talk about what a Grail card is, frequently what sets and inserts they belong to, and how we feel about them as having them in our collection. Are you lucky enough to own your Grail card? Let me know. Enjoy this episode, guys. Comment. Let's have some fun. What's going on, everybody? Grading here, Last Pack Magic channel. We got my boy Doom Card in the building. What's going on, Doom?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. You guys have been you've been doing all sorts of stuff lately. You got a channel on the go. You got Card Drop.
And we got NSDC podcast with the Lucives YouTube channel over there too. Yeah, I'm everywhere. For someone who is very much an introvert, I'm all over YouTube.
You're making it as hard as possible to be an introvert by the looks of it.
Yeah.
I love that. In the description of this video, I'll drop all the links for where you guys can find Doom Card. And please get over there and like, subscribe, and follow this man on Instagram. It's worth doing.
Appreciate it, man.
Today we're going to talk about Grail cards. I mean, just to get right into it, I think every collector who has a character or a set that they really chase, they're like their top 10 cards, their top 5 cards, and then there's the card.
Yeah, there's always the card. And, from what I've learned around the hobby, it varies person to person, right? We all have a different interpretation of what a Grail card is. But for me, I started as a Doom collector. My Grail card never existed. It would be a Jack Kirby sketch of Dr. Doom, right?
That's so interesting. I've never thought of a Grail card that didn't exist. I love that. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah. I mean, it would. I know we have the Jack Kirby autograph cuts from the Hulk set, and I believe it's 2003. But I mean, that would be the Grail. Jack Kirby. Doom doesn't get better. It's my favorite part about it. Yeah.
I love that. I actually had never really put a whole lot of thought into the idea of a sketch card being a standalone Grail card. I've always thought of what's my dream sketch card to have in my collection, but as far as the one piece I could not part with from my set, I never thought about it being sketch cards. Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm very jealous of people who are Spider-Man fans because you have a plethora of Grail cards to choose from. But yeah, I would consider that definitely up there, and I've always been a fan of the creators much more than the card itself. Getting to have a sample of their work and their own signature. There's something about something hand drawn that always appealed to me. Yeah.
I love that. I love that a Grail card could also include being a piece of original art as opposed to being recycled from, say, multiple comic books or multiple sets. I know that we're seeing a lot of high series cards and sets today be reused art, which is really cool. I just find it challenging to classify that in a Grail card territory when it's being used a couple of times.
Yeah, and definitely right now we're in the parallel production era of cards. it's much more popular, I believe, than Marvel cards has ever been. Maybe in the 90s it was bigger too. I wasn't around, so for me it was post pandemic when I started. But uh, one of ones today are the Grail cards. Low numbered cards seem to be Grail cards for a lot of people. And I just think it depends in perspective and who the person or who the collector is, or what intention they have for the card, right? Some of these guys come in here and they enjoy the cards and they make their living out of it. So for them, it's, the rarity, low rarity, and be able to remove that card and let it fund a lot more cards along the way. I think makes them grails for them too.
I want to ask you some very specific questions. If you don't want to answer them because it's something you're chasing, I completely understand.
Oh no, I'll answer that. Things I'm chasing, if I can't find them by now, then I don't deserve them.
But I don't know about that. But, I hope the opportunity presents itself for the stuff you're looking at. What for you is a Grail set across all of the sets that have been released across time? I don't care. What is one of the what is that hallmark product for you?
I have two answers to that. Currently produced, I would say masterpieces set, and that just goes down to preference. So for me, it would be between Dan's and Bianchi's, right? As the whole set, if I can just have the full set, those two are my favorites. And if I'm being really honest, probably Bianchi. Just love his work. So, although there's no Doom in there.
I was about to comment on that. I'm gonna think it's gonna be hard for you to find a Grail card in that one with no Doom, but that's cool. I like that answer a lot.
Yeah, and in that set, my Grail card would. Wow, that's a tough one. I really, really love the Enchantress card from that set, and it's a holofoil. So yeah, if I could own the original art, it'd probably be that one. Really love that card. Yeah.
Do you think that original art counts as a Grail card? Given, you know what I mean? Given that it's a canvas, it's a painting board. Can an original art be the Grail card?
Personally, I don't think so. I think that's a separate thing.
I agree with you.
A lot of the reason why I'm in part of the hobby is because I love the format of a 3x4 card, like 2.5 by 3.5. Like, there's something about that size is really appealing.
Yeah.
And I would put any original art as that's a whole different side. The way people collect that, very tough to get any of it to begin with. So I would definitely separate those. Yeah.
I mean, if you were into, like we had just discussed, if you're into original artwork being in card format, there is sketch cards, which are even that much more impressive when you think about a painting being done at a larger size and then scanned and shrunk down to card format. It's very cool, but these people who are doing these sketches on this actual small size card, with very small pens with incredible attention to detail, it's really impressive.
It is impressive. It's not easy to do. Just from what I've observed, like it's especially I was fortunate enough to commission an AP through Bianchi and get a Doom sketch because that's the Grail, right? That's him painting a Doom for that on that stock to me was my Grail for that set.
You don't have that on hand to show us, do you?
I can get it. Yeah.
I always got to start telling people, if you want to show and tell anything when you come on, I got to start telling them beforehand. I do this to everybody. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's in here. I should do a better organization so I can have it right. Oh man!
It's my Grail card. It's just under my coffee table. It's holding it up as the balancer right now. Let me just go grab it.
The truth about it is, I have it with all my other sketches, and it's I want them all slabbed. I know that's a little controversial, but
Well, I think if it's your collection, you can do whatever on earth you want with it. There should be no controversy in that.
yeah, the fact that something's controversial in the hobby is a funny thing.
It's kind of, but
Oh man, let me see. Oh, it's in here. It's right here.
there we go.
Let me take it out of the sleeve. Very happy to get this. Had a friends pick it up at the OAX. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Doom with the paint stroke to the side. I love that he showed, the process. Having the paint streak to the side. I love it. I love the messiness of it too. And getting this on AP stock, which I wouldn't be mad if it was another stock, but it's just talking about the set itself and my love for it.
Yeah.
It's just a cool thing. Obviously, we get the nice Simone Bianchi autograph.
A
To
beautiful
me,
signature. A beautiful signature.
my favorite signature in the hobby. But yeah, awesome card. So yeah, this is definitely like my Grail bro up there. Yeah.
That is that's crazy. I mean, I hadn't put a lot of thought into a sketch card being your Grail card. You have and you have it. That all lined up really, really well.
It took a while too. I mean, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't know these people were accessible.
Yeah.
And shout out to Matt DiTilio, his agent, he works for him in the U.S. side.
Yeah.
Setting up opportunities like that is a big deal for us collectors. And as soon as it was made public, I automatically sent him a message. Write me down for a spot, please.
Isn't it funny when there's something in the hobby that comes up that's a no-brainer?
Oh yeah.
Like if you have a Grail card that you've put some thought into, I'm going to say that for collectors who are character collecting, and you've been collecting for a while and accumulating and going through your collection, you've narrowed down some things that are out there that when they come up, it's time to pounce on. And you got to be ready, right?
Yeah, I mean, whatever I have to move to make it happen,
Yeah.
you just got to do it.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to have a lot of numbered stuff for the Doom collection early on. There's just a lot of things that are Grails for people that didn't really suit my interest as much. So I had fun while I had them, but moving those things when this opportunity arrives, easy choice. I don't think about it much. No.
It's interesting and very rewarding being a part of somebody else's Grail search. Being able to, I've found cards for some friends that were big cards that were well out of my collection realm.
Yeah.
I found Sabretooth cards that were very much part of friends of mine's collections and been a part of entering that into the equation.
Yeah.
And it feels great to be part of that.
It does. It's another part of the hobby that's fun. We can't afford it all. Most of us can't.
Preach to the choir, my friend.
Yeah. So if I'm fortunate enough to find someone that I know is looking for it, even if I don't, early in the hobby, I always have conversations with Fausto. He was always a big influence on me. We go back to like character collecting. Like that guy was one of the few people.
I've heard of Fausto. I'm pretty sure I know. He's the Iceman collector.
Yeah, right.
That's right. I know his channel. I know his channel. I know the one.
That guy, and his podcast with Ian Taylor, and they had about 150 episodes. And there's a lot of great. You get the Simone Bianchi interview. You get to know these people. One thing is, I'm viewing this set that I believe is my favorite set, and then there's an interview to listen to this guy, and he has an amazing personality and he's funny. So I was like, oh, great! It just adds more to collecting. Just for me, collecting, you can't it's emotional too. For me, you can't separate it. Like it's not just cards to us, right? We're not just holding paper.
Yeah.
These things represent things. They represent timestamps in our lives. They represent friendships.
Mhm.
They represent opportunities and excitement, and like my homie Elusive says, like they're like trophies in a trophy case at the end of the day.
More about the team.
Yeah.
I hear people talk about people being important in the hobby. Sometimes people's actions don't line up with that. One thing that I like about, I've been watching some of your guys' card drop videos. You guys have a really good chemistry together, and you guys have really good conversation. And we were talking about it earlier, but it's interesting how there are groups of people in the hobby that have that connection and that relationship. And it's been making for a really enjoyable experience to watch. People that have been putting together content about what's important to them has really spread a lot of knowledge around the hobby.
Yeah, and for me specifically, just the card drop guys, just shout out to Shane, Will, and Tim, those guys. And then I have my NSDC crew with Elusive and Sergio. It's also different, energy, right? It's always, if I'm in the card drop, we're going to laugh and Shane's going to act a fool, and it's always going to be entertaining. He's going to put his Magneto hat on. It's going to be a ride.
I was going to ask you if there's a prerequisite in your group that you have to collect Doom, because I've never seen so many guys that all collect the same damn character.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, when we started NSDC with Sergio, well, it was just me and Elusive at that point. And he was a surfer guy, and I was the Doom guy. So, we would go back and forth and try and crack jokes on each other, but over time he came to the right side. He became a Doom collector, so it's all great. We influence each other. Yeah. There's a Doom brotherhood. There's another chat with a bunch of Doom collectors, comic books, action figures, card collectors. You do find the small community of people. Look, when I started this, I started showing cards on Instagram just so people could learn. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the same way you're doing with Sabretooth, there's going to be a point where people look up to you and hit you up like, hey man, I'm also a collector for this character. Can you help me out? Like, can you give me information? Can you do this? So that's a fun part of the hobby too. I get to find stuff, find information for those guys. Yeah.
How do you feel about what's the best social networking application to use? Like, I find Instagram to be really helpful for collecting, as it's not like Facebook. There's less dialogue and more content about like imagery.
I would say for Instagram right now is probably the king application for card collecting in general, because you have it all. You have the post visual, you have the videos, and you have, you can call someone on there, right? You can have conversations. Second would be Facebook, just because those groups are pivotal to the hobby. There's no way around it. A lot of those, I would say the majority of quote unquote grails get moved there.
Right.
Before they go on eBay.
Right.
Or if they ever make it to eBay. There's a lot of private deals that go down in there. So it's, it's a balance between those two apps for sure.
I mean, just to your point, I mean, your Simone Grail sketch card AP product of one of the groups, right?
Right. It started in the groups, and also I would say now YouTube is going to be one of those places where it's probably going to be a bigger resource in the long run. Mm-hmm. But that opportunity was shared in Justin's channel. Shout out to Spidey Hits, his channel. And that's where Matt Detilio and Bianchi were there, presented the opportunity, and that's how I knew about it.
Right.
Otherwise, I wasn't in the loop. So it's always great when you can just put it everywhere. I think, making videos about collecting the stuff and showing the stuff on YouTube is also going to be important. And, get it everywhere.
It's nice to have some variety.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talking about grails, my idea of grail cards has changed every month. Like if you asked me 6 months ago what my Grail card was, I'd have said, "Oh, that card's stupid. That's just an impossible one to get." It. Then 4 months later, I'm like, I need to have that card in my collection.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if it's that when I obtain a card, I end up taking it off the list because the hunt's over, you know, and then looking for something else in my mind, or if it's that my tastes change or that I get more sophisticated as a collector as time goes on. I don't know, but my point is that my Grail card has changed a lot of times, and I'm okay with that. I like don't feel bad about that.
I think that's yeah, that very much happened to me when I was collecting. I mean, when I started the Hildebrand Brothers cards were the most interesting cards, and then we had the Impel popularity for the 90 Impel. So at one point, that Black Panther 1990 Impel card was a Grail card for me in a PSA 10, and it was going for a ridiculous amount of money because, you know, people were pumping it, or people were hyped about it, or whatever it was. Once I started doing the character collection, I started actually with Warlock from the New Mutants, so I kind of got introduced to EPEC and all that stuff through there. Then the Doom collection started. The things I attacked first were the Grails. It was the Jambalaya, it was the green, it was the blue PMG, red PMG. Never got the green PMG because it wasn't available. But
Right.
those were the Grails at that point, and along the way, you know, it became the Bianchi card, or sketch cards in general. I have a Sienkiewicz sketch card for Dr. Doom. That's a Grail for me too. So.
That Doom Jambalaya I saw on Cards of Metal the other day.
Yeah.
What a monster of a card.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so good. Some of the Jambalayas are a bit hit and miss character-wise. Just some of them, it's a bit of a puzzling decision to make such a big card about such a strange character. The Doom one's amazing.
Yeah. And just the design of those, the first ever Jambalaya is the 2013 Clear Retro, which, you know, we talk about Grail, is probably the Grail set for a lot of people.
Yes.
You know, that's a big one. Those Jambalayas, maybe less than 15 of those per character, something close to that. It's tough. You rarely see them. I saw it too. I was in there. I was curious to see if someone was gonna buy it. It's you just don't see those.
Does a Grail card have to be expensive?
Probably not, but a lot of the time they are. I think of, like, you know, shout out to Will, Melfi Collectibles. He asked me the other day, you know, what's your Batman Grail card? I'm a huge Batman fan. Man, if I could have had a autographed card from Bruce Timm, from Mark Hamill as a Joker, and from Kevin Conroy as Batman, you know, before he passed away, all in one card, just the Batman title card, Batman anime, that would have been a Grail. And would it be expensive? Not really.
Right.
I just had to catch them, the right cons, and most important thing, time. I would have to go back in time. You just can't do that anymore.
My two favorite Sabretooth cards are the 96 gold foil Sabretooth by Julie Bell, one of 6 cards in that insert set for 96 masterpieces, and then the 95 masterpieces holo foil Sabretooth.
Yeah.
Both those cards are under $50.
Yeah.
I think that I own multiple copies of them. And the reason I say it's a Grail piece is because they're my 2 favorite inserts from the 90s. Hands down, my 2 favorite inserts from the 90s. So they're Grail pieces. They're top 5 cards for me, and I love them.
And, you know, a lot of times, even like holding PMGs, like blue PMG Doom, in the long run, it didn't really mean much to me. They could be Grails to people. It just, I would rather have Hildebrand 94 Gold Signature PSA
Right.
10 or something. You know, like something which is much less expensive, but it was my favorite thing.
So we're talking Grails and we're talking PMGs now. Let's talk about PMGs a bit.
Yeah.
PMGs have been seen throughout a number of sets, and there's been a real inconsistency in PMGs, from the card stock that they're on to the coloring that we're calling red when it's actually pink.
Yeah.
There's a lot of recycled art from comic book days that are on these cards that, truthfully, are a very strange choice at times. So let's talk about there's definitely a group of people out there where PMGs are a big part of their Grail card.
Yes.
I'm going to just put it out there right now. I love PMGs. I think that they're awesome, but there are definitely PMGs that were done much better than others.
Absolutely. I would agree the same.
Yeah.
I wasn't always the biggest champion of PMGs. For a long time, all the shiny cards weren't my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But being around long enough, you do change perspective on things, and I feel the same way a lot. If we're going back to 2013, like my favorite card in there is probably the Captain America.
Cool.
Just the art for that one. The Hulk, really great choice for that one. Even though the Doomsday is probably not in my top three, you know.
There's so many bad Sabretooth cards, and I'm the first one to say that's a Sabretooth card.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's not I dislike it, but it's just, you know, I prefer the other ones. Which one? The Marvel Girl from that set. Something like Invisible Woman from that set. The blue.
Imagine if that card was just blank.
Oh.
Invisible Woman, just a blank card with PMG.
Yeah, it'd be. Yeah, I'm sure people would chase it too. It would be popular. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
For me, a PMG needs to be on 35-point card stock. So Flair Ultra X-Men has PMGs on the thicker card stock. I've said it lots of times. I hate thick card stock. It drives me crazy. I wish everything was 35 points. But that's what I mean. There are just so many different. There are just so many different PMGs out there. For me, it isn't. I own them. Don't get me wrong, but the thick cardstock PMGs really don't do it for me.
I would agree with you in that. A lot of the thick cardstocks, I'm not a fan of now.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, really.
For me, it's because one, it killed the binders. I mean, I've got the fact that I can't fit a beautiful set of cards in one binder that doesn't look like a law firm's thesaurus. You know?
Yeah,
it's just it infuriates me, and the fact that I need to now I have to decide to put it in a top loader if it's even going to go in a binder. The stock quality just gets absolutely put through the ringer. We all of a sudden have 8 quarters to worry about instead of 4.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know, it's just there's a lot of downsides to it, and I understand that there are people that really feel as though when it's in hand, it's a premium product, and I get that, and I respect your opinion about it. You're just wrong. Just not into it.
Yeah,
just not into it, you know.
Maybe for me it's because I do want my collection in a slab, and I hate the way they slab thick cards.
Cool. I like that answer.
They make them look cheap, like they're in saran wrap or something. Like, no, man. Like,
I hear that.
Yeah.
Who's your grading company? Who do you like to have in a slab?
I was a huge fan of the CGC Blue Label. I have a lot of basically most of my collection in that. My Doom collection, that is. But PSA is probably my overall favorite.
Right.
And it's just a personal thing. I just really love the simple red border. It reminds me of the index cards when you go to a library. The font, you know.
Cool.
That stuff. It's uniform, so
yeah.
I prefer that.
Another, speaking of killing binders, slabbing cards. I have such a challenging time with slabbed cards from a display standpoint. I have so many cards organized in binders, and for anything to be slabbed throws me this huge curveball of like, what am I supposed to do with this now? Like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, I had binders of Doom cards, which I moved on, or it could be a positive or a negative thing, depending on how you view it. give someone a great opportunity to start a collection, or give them the burden of going down the character collector route. So shout out to Free and Sergio. I gave a lot of my collection to them, those two guys. And what I did, I just narrowed down the most important cards to me, and made me appreciate less cards over every single one. Trying to hunt every single one. I enjoy doing both, but now it's definitely like less is more for me.
I love that.
It does give you makes it challenging for you to do some, mental exercises on how you would approach what are your top 10 cards.
So I
what
think
are
what
your
you're
grails?
describing, I think what you're describing is curated.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're curating a collection, I think there's a serious misunderstanding out there. The curating implies that it's a large collection. I think when I think of curating, I think about people that work in museums or in art galleries that are putting together regular showings. Those showings change, and the artists might stay the same, but they're displaying different work. And I think that's what all of us are doing with these character collections of ours.
I believe so. And I think that's what Instagram's very popular at. It's almost like, welcome to my museum.
Yeah.
Here are the cards on my wall.
It's cool that you can have cards that you've sold and gotten rid of on your Insta.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need to know that they're not a part of your collection anymore because your Instagram doesn't care.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's fun to see. Also, you get to see the pattern of the person who's collecting or curating, what they're into and what they're not into.
Right.
Yeah.
Something amazing about collecting that I've noticed since I've turned to social media is that I can look at somebody's collection, and we don't collect even close to the same character, but I learn something from how they're displaying, from how they're organizing, from how they're doing their write-ups about their cards. Like, I've learned so much from going through people's Instagrams. There's one out there, Nasty Gems on Instagram, who has just an outstanding Instagram, and it pushes me to want to make my displays look sharper and look of that quality. There's lots of people out there with great Instagrams, but that's just one that comes to mind recently.
Yeah, it makes me appreciate the cards more. There's a lot of cards I never saw along the way. I was so focused on the Dr. Doom collection, I didn't get to explore certain sets. So that's another positive. There's a lot of information out there, and the way they present things, even with people who don't collect cards or they collect another collectible,
right?
The way they presented, the passion really shows. So you start getting intrigued by, I'm gonna start looking at these comic books because so and so curated an amazing Instagram page of it. So yeah, that's fun.
There's often I've been a part of other hobbies where people have claimed that the internet ruined the hobby. A lot of art that I participated in over the years, mainly street art, was really affected negatively by the internet. And the reason for that was that the public forum was the urban center and was the train system. And when people no longer had to go there to find that artwork, they could just go on the internet. There was an enormous shift in the quality of work that was getting done in the areas that it was getting done. And I understand that. But in collecting, it's the complete opposite. I mean, the internet, I personally don't see how it could, there's a negative to it. Being exposed to the cards that are out there and the collection these people have makes collecting far more exciting than doing it in a black hole.
And there's so much information being shared that probably wouldn't know otherwise, right? Collections are so focused and to where, like, there's a promo card for a UK fast food company, right? Like, or some, like, it's, or the Tarabusi chocolate cards out there. I guess the negative side would be, people use that to sell and try to inflate some of these collections. Look, man, otherwise you wouldn't know about it. So
yeah, on the topic of like grails and price points, my collection is so easy because if I can't afford it, I can't collect it.
Just go on to the next thing. Yeah.
You know, I literally, like, I'll be like, oh my God, look at the Sabertooth card. What, is that an extra 0? Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
Never think about it again, you know?
Yeah. It's not for me. Shout out to Johnny Bravo 808, amazing Wolverine character collector. I've had a couple conversations with him, really good friend. And his philosophy is something I try to adapt and remind myself, look, if it's not for me, it's not for me. I move on to the next thing. Like, I don't go seek things all the time. I let them come to me. And if it happens, then it's meant for me. And if not, I'll move on to the next thing.
Right on. I think that you and I have a really good grasp of this is a hobby and it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to share it with your friends.
Yeah.
If you're doing anything other than that, there's a very good chance you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Or try just having fun with it instead. You know, it's a good time. It could be a good time. You know, there's times where it can be stressful, but when I start feeling stressed, and that to me is a sign like, hey, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Let me go revisit where I'm at or what I'm in it for, and then, you know, have fun along the way.
I think that's great advice for people out there. This has been a really good conversation. I really appreciate you making the time to come on the channel today.
All right, man. Oh, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
I'm gonna drop the spots where people can find you down in the description. Please click down there, guys. Take a look at it. I want to do another video with you at some point. This was fun. This was we got to keep doing this.
Anytime, man. Just reach out to me. We'll make it happen. For sure.
Right on. For everybody out there watching this, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Drop down in the comments what your Grail card is. I would love everyone who watched this to mention at least like one of your top 5 Grail cards, so that me and Jesus have an idea of what you guys are collecting out there. It's a lot funner when you guys participate. So Thank you so much. And we'll do this again, everybody. Take care.
Later.